Hey everyone, Steve here from Big Head Tech, and yes, the RX 5700 XT Taichi is in the studio today. We will be taking a look at the box, taking a look at the card, running it through benchmarks, praying that a $480 card, when the MSRP of the reference model is $400, has some sort of value. I don't know, but let's take a look at the card, let's take a look at some benchmarks, and see if this is something that Steve from Big Head Tech can actually recommend. Like, you could probably fit a motherboard in here. So we have this huge envelope kind of thing. Let's see what's in here. Okay, stickers. More useful than a driver disc. That's cool. So at least they give you a bunch of like cool things in it. You got this is pretty neat. It's like cup holder. I think yeah, I'm gonna keep this. That's cool. Probably a basic how to install book. Perfect. So just some fun little cool things. Not necessarily worth the extra premium necessarily, but we shall see. Foam, and then this massive, oh god, this is heavy. Okay, let's try this again. Oh. Not the heaviest card that I felt, but not very far off either. Okay, this is tape closed in two sections here. Yeah. Make that 3 sections. 4. Feels like this is a motherboard, and it probably is. Hey, it's fine with me. I have no problems with that. So measurement wise, well, I'm actually have to take this plastic off here. Oh, it came off beautifully. So we are 90 mil, roughly. Yes, and this is probably going to be 80. So 2 90s and an 80 in the center. I really don't want to take this card apart if I can avoid it, but we can actually see some good stuff here. So we have, looks to be, we're going to have your copper plate for the CPU here, and that looks to be separate. So you have your base plate that goes all the way around, different pieces there. We have some really thick heat pipes here. I don't know if I'll be able to measure this at all. It's worth a shot though. Can I get in over here? Nope. Looks to be 6. A bunch of 6, and I think this one's probably an 8 that's going along there. Up front, so we have some fan headers right here. You can see we have decent sized thermal pads right down in there. Like I said, I don't want to do a tear down of it yet. 2 6+2s, and then let's do the, see this backplate. I mean, this is a love it or hate it, and this is why I got the Taichi board, because it'll match. Here's this is cool. So LED off or on, so you can control right there. You should be able to also control it with software, and we also have 2 BIOSes, and it's labeled. So this is the kind of thing that I like to see in a premium product. I expect this to be premium, I really do, but you do have a silent and then an OC. We're going to keep an OC mode. But realistically, see, like I said, I don't want to take it apart right now because it's working great. The last graphics card I took apart died on me because who knows what I did wrong with it. What's interesting is the shroud's a little bit recessed from the fans. So the fans actually, if you look at it from an angle, you can actually see kind of stick out a little bit. But here's the interesting part. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 display ports and 2 HDMI ports. So this has 6 display outs. I find that really interesting. It's just something different about this card. So we're going to put this in our test system. We're going to get some benchmarks going. This is going to be probably the most powerful card that I've ever physically owned. But I do have GTX 1080 results to look at as well, or RTX 2080 rather, results as well. So let's get installed and see what she does. Standard test bench, we have the Ryzen 5 3600, 3 things supplied by Be Quiet, that's a ASRock Pro 4, the Pure Power 11, the Silent Base 801, fans running at 1000 RPM. With the ASRock B450 Pro 4 motherboard, 16 gigabyte of G-Skill memory, 3600 megahertz CL19. GPUs are going to vary for this test. Crucial P1 500 gigabyte NVMe SSD with an external 500 gigabyte Samsung SSD, and that pretty much will wrap that up. Assumptions, testing methodology, whatever you want to call it. Precision Boost Overdrive is enabled. RAM had XMP enabled. GPU fan was set to a default curve, more on that in a minute. Ambient temperatures fell between 22 and 24 degrees Celsius. I am running 2 displays, 1440p primary, 1080p secondary. On 1080p test, the 1440p display is still running 1440p background. Also, during the games, I have 4 Chrome tabs open, a YouTube video playing, a couple monitoring programs. Synthetics, only the monitoring programs are running. And the fan curve, 30% minimum, 65% maximum on both platforms. Now, Superposition. There's a card here I haven't actually put a review up on. I just have the results for. Review will be coming hopefully soon. That's the RTX 2080 Duke from MSI. Clear winner here, over 15,000 points. However, the Taichi scored 13,120 to the GTX 1080's 12,368, and also won out at 1440p at 8255 versus 7949. And there was a fair bit of separation from the RX 5700 Pulse, which is also in this review as well. 3D Mark Time Spy, a little bit of a similar story. We have the Duke winning out 11,129 versus 9139. A lot of separation from both the Pulse and the GTX 1080 for the win. They were in the mid to low 7800s. Finally, we have Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, high settings, 1440p. We were pretty much dead even with the GTX 1080 for the win, as with 1080p. Mid to high 17,000s and mid to low 15,000s. 1080p, 1440p with the Duke winning out. Now, let's talk about F1 2018. This is Austria, ultra settings. 1080p, very close. Probably CPU limitation, 144 to 142. 1440p, only a little bit more separation, 6 FPS, 115 to 109. Clear separation from the 5700 and the GTX 1080. Now, this is only the first game, but I'm very surprised on how much separation there is from this card versus the non-XT version. We're only a couple hundred, like 100 or 200 or so, a couple hundred stream processors, about 250 megahertz roughly, and memory is the same. To see this kind of separation is a little bit surprising. Hitman 2, very similar story, except the 1080 and the RTX 5700 XT Taichi were pretty much dead even 1080p with a small victory to the XT at 1440p. 94 and 76 FPS respectively, with the Duke placing number 1. I don't think that'll change. Well, I just lied there, because of 1440p it did change, 122 to 125. So the XT did win out, and 1080p had a 6 FPS drop going from the Duke to the XT, and clear separation again to the Pulse. We were definitely in the double-digit separation there with the 1080 and the 1660 in the rear. Now, Division 2. Kind of similar story. We have the 5700 XT Taichi placed between the Pulse and the Duke. 121 and 95, clear separation from the Pulse, 10 FPS and 13 FPS respectively. Ghost Recon Wildlands, same exact story. We have clear separation, 11 FPS, 9 FPS at 1080 and 1440, with the Duke placing first, obviously. Core clock. 2033 megahertz, clear winner. Big increase from 1756. That might be where the difference in performance is coming at. Power, 135 versus 236, 100 watts. It's a lot of power. 2 8-pins, I get it. Oof. Oof. Okay. This is a little rough. Core clock, or core temp rather, 58 degrees over ambient, 81 degrees total. It's not great. I mean, the Pulse did much better. 11 degrees cooler, but it's also less demanding card, but it's a beefy cooler. But the rest of the temperatures should be perfectly fine, right? Right? No? No. 85 degrees over ambient on the hotspot. That was 106 degrees on the hotspot. And here we have a card that has one of the beefiest coolers, largest coolers I've seen since the GTX 780 Ti Lightning, or 780 Lightning. One of the two. I think it was a 780 Lightning that I had. Why is it running this hot? Let's take a look again. So let's bring these back up on the screen here. So 6 degrees over ambient on the memory. That's not great, but it's not good either. 58 degrees over ambient on the core. So if ambient at that time is 21, we're like 79, 80 degrees. And even the VRM's running, in my opinion, a little bit warm, 72 degrees. So what's the reasoning behind that? Well, Reddit. It's your fault. No. You guys helped me when I was very upset about this. Give me some basic ideas that solve the problem. This card out of the box runs 1.204 volts. Now, if you remember my previous reviews, the 5700 non-XTs were out of the box a hair over 1 volt, could undervolt to like 0.96, 0.97, 0.98. So we're effectively 20 to 25% higher in voltage underclocked 5700 versus stock. Well, why does that matter? Well, let's talk about hotspot. Hotspot measures the hottest part of the core, and the core itself is not making direct contact with anything. Sure, when that spreads out and hits the edge, it's cooler, but there's no way to cool the hotspot because it's generally in the same place inside the core. However, there's one savior: voltage. Yes, we're undervolting, and we're doing it here in a minute because that was unacceptable. I was very close to just giving up because it's unacceptable around 106 degrees on a card like this. So what did we do? We had to bring down the core clock a little bit from 2074 to 2000. Now it was running a little bit slower than that, but that's what it was set at. We brought the voltage all the way down from 1.204 to 1.051. So that was a 0.15, a 0.15 decrease, a huge drop. My math is going to be 12%, somewhere in that ballpark. Memory, since the memory voltage is separate, I got that up to 930, stable. So what does that do with performance? Clearly we dropped, some core speed. It's going to make a difference, right? No, it didn't. It really didn't. These tests are here. These tests are identical. Like, yeah, there's 10 points here, 5 points there, a few points there, but they are dead even for all intents and purposes. But that's synthetics. It's best case scenario. So games, we're going to see some serious separation. No? Here, take a look for yourself. We lost 1 FPS on Forza Horizon 4. Correction. Yeah, we lost 1. We lost 3 in F1. Okay. We gained 3 in Ghost Recon. We tied in the Division, and we gained about half of 1 in the Hitman 2. So we lost no performance, essentially, in my opinion. But did we do anything with temperatures? We'll find out. So we dropped 74 megahertz on the core, up to 55 megahertz on the memory, and dropped 31 watts. Okay. Ooh, this is a little different. Let's talk about what's different. 85 degrees over ambient to 60. 25 degree drop right there. Huge. Memory temps, 60 degrees over ambient, dropped to 51. Mind you, we actually didn't change the memory voltage at all. We just upped the memory speed, interestingly enough. Core temp, 58 degrees over ambient down to 14 or 44. That was a 14-degree drop. VRM 51 degrees over ambient down to 38. So I'm going to talk, and you guys are going to look at the card because I think the card looks awesome. A lot of people disagree with that, but I digress. I think my system looks really cool. Here's the thing. I don't have enough of these 5700 XTs to tell you one way or another. But from what I've read, a lot of these cards are coming at 1.2 volts out of the box, and that's why they run so hot. The 5700s, at least the add-in board partners, are much lower. That's why, for the most part, some of these are coming out of the box running fantastic. So, do I recommend to buy this card? So we're back looking again. I don't know. It's expensive. It's $40 more than, I think, the Red Devil. It's $30 to $40 more than Nitro Plus. It's the most expensive card out there. I absolutely love the aesthetics. I have now a Taichi motherboard, which you'll see a review of pretty soon. I think it looks awesome. I'm keeping it, personally. But a lot has to do with, are the other cards having the same issue with high stock voltage, or is this something ASRock did? I'm seeing some of the reference ones were coming that high, but I don't know about the add-in board partners. So it's hard to recommend. If you're somebody who wants something that works out of the box, don't get it. I don't consider 106 degrees hotspot temp working out of the box. I really don't. So buy yourself a 5700 Pulse, or do some research on some XTs that don't come as high voltage. If you're a tweaker, a tuner, somebody wants to mess with it, this card's hitting over 2000 megahertz out of the box, which is impressive. I was more interested with lowering thermals than increasing performance. So maybe if we would have added like another 0.05 volts, we could have gotten some more core clock. I don't know. I'm not really interested in that because this is going to crush any game that I throw at it. So if you want to buy this or anything else, link in the description below. Hit the like button if you liked it. Dislike it, dislike. Leave a comment, get subscribed. Help me with Patreon. And as always, this is Steve from Big Head Tech. And I'll see you later on down the road.